Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Revival of America podcast. This is Jenny. I'm the owner and the host of the Revival of America. I am back, everybody. I had to take a little bit of a hiatus, as we all should, not just to clear our minds, but we have families that unfortunately we lose through life, right? And unfortunately, I lost an aunt of mine. So I took some time to deal with that. And it was my dad's older sister. So I want to give a shout out to my family. God bless. Thoughts and prayers are all with you. But I am back, everybody. I took that week off. It was good to regroup. And man, when you miss that much time, you really have to play catch up. But again, I'm glad to be back, everybody. So we've got a week of great shows. We've got a podcast each day, two or three of them. Let's see, we have two today, we have one tomorrow, we have three on Wednesday, one on Thursday, and one on Friday. So we've got quite the show lineup, everybody, playing catch up. So I'm glad to be back. But again, still the same thing, still the same PSAs that I do. So forgive me up front if I get a little tongue tied, because when I miss a day or two, you got to kind of get back into it. But again, I'm glad I'm back. I miss you all. So again, as usual, everybody, please be careful who you listen to, who you follow, because it is getting wackadoodle out there. Just in the time that I've been gone, and I decided to get back on and listen to some spaces and be a part of a space last night I co-hosted with Santino. It's crazy out there. So I can't tell you guys, just you have to tighten up that circle. 3 to 5 people. If they haven't led you wrong through the course of your journey, please just stick and stay with those, because more than likely they're going to get you over the hump. And if you don't know who to follow in general and you're really that confused, follow Donald Trump's Truth Social. I am going to start making a bigger presence over on Truth Social, because I think we all need to start getting everybody over there, because that's where it's going to go. Trump posts over there, and everything that he posts over there, everybody, it's a timestamp of what is going on. And he literally is telling us what is going on. Again, not as cryptic as he used to be, or cryptic, or coded, but he is coming out and being a little bit more forefront with us of what is going on. So if you're not on Truth Social, everybody, get over there, create an account, and follow Donald Trump for sure. So I'm gonna start making a bigger presence. I'm over there. As you guys know, I tell you every time on the podcast where I'm at. But I highly encourage everybody to create a True Social account over there, because I do believe they have stuff like this. We can do lives, video, audio. So I'm going to kind of work with that and see what that's all about. But I am going to start having a bigger presence over on True Social, and I encourage everybody to do so as well. Also, too, everybody, if you come in late to the podcast, please know that we are listened to in over 100 countries, and we are making some great noise, everybody. I'm getting a lot of positive information from a lot of really, really good people, very reliable people, that we are saying right things, good things, and we're on the right path. So that is very encouraging, very positive, and that is good for you guys to know, because it does get challenging more and more out there as we continue through the end of this this horror movie, if you will, to know who to follow. So follow the podcast hosts, everybody. They're iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, Breaker, POCKETCAST, PodBean, Riverside, Amazon Music. Social medias are Jenny JERREAD Facebook, at Jenny_JERREAD X, at JJERREAD Rumble, at JJERREAD True Social, at JJERREAD Instagram, The Revival of America right here on Telegram, The Revival of America over on YouTube. Obviously TikTok I'm not really good at, but it's the @official JJERREAD over there. So also to everybody, we have upgraded our website. It looks great. I want to give a shout out to Kaylee for doing such a wonderful job on the podcast. It has an introduction about me in the podcast. It has a page for Field, it has a page for the children, has a page for John Baxter, Carrie Kasem with Face and Beauty, Brain IQ, Rick Anson, which he's going to be on tomorrow. Those are the all natural supplements. So we are creating different pages as I team up with different people to bring you all natural products, right? Because that's the way we're going in the world. So that was one of my goals and one of my promises to myself and you, the audience, as I team up and get more information on these all natural ways of healing, I'm going to bring them on board and introduce them to you, and you guys can get to know about all of them and what they do. Because again, like I said, this is the world that we're coming into. If we can't eat it from a tree or from the ground, then we probably shouldn't be putting it in our mouth, right? God's creation. So also too, everybody, if you have a story, so that is therevivalofamerica.com. That's the website. If you have a story or a journey to tell, please reach out to me at troasubmissions@yahoo.com. We will get in touch with you, get your story and your voices heard on the podcast. We do vet these stories because unfortunately we have the crazies out there that just want to make up bullshit stories to get their to try to be relevant and get their voice on a podcast. So we do vet them. So please give me a legitimate story, because we're not going to reach out to you if it's bullshit. Also too, it's going to be your voice, that's going to tell your story, not me. I do believe a lot of people send me their stories, which I love. I hold them dear to my heart. But if you want to use your voice to share your story, I highly encourage you to do it. I don't want to do it because, I mean, if you really want me to do it, I'll do it. But I just think it's more real coming from you, because that's your story, your journey that you went through, than me just reading a story from an email. So don't be nervous. Don't be shy. I'm here. I'll walk you through it. It's all good. It's actually really enlightening to hear, for myself and the audience, to hear different stories. Because remember, everybody, it's your voice, your story that's going to help shape the new world that we're coming into. And also, people have been asking me about John Baxter. John Baxter has gone, he went on a little bit of a vacation, so he will be back with us hopefully next Monday. So please watch for that. Trying to get some of these people rescheduled that I wasn't able to get on because of their schedules intertwining with mine. And it's just, life happens, right? We got to balance this. It's a balancing act. So with that, everybody, I'm not going to take any more time. Field is in the house. I know many of you have been asking about Field as well. He is back with us. He's doing well, and he sounds great. Oh, also too, real quickly, I'm going to put all the link information for Field's books. Many of you reached out to me. I will put them on there. They are now available. Field has made them available for you, the public, to purchase. Right now, they are available in paperback. If you want them in hardback, we will have to order them, so it will take a little bit longer. But please, everybody, so many of you have asked about them. These books are a national treasure. Field is a national treasure. So if you are interested, you can buy them in the set of 4, or you can buy individually, if whatever you want. Just please note that when you email me, and email me at the revival of America at yahoo.com. Let me know what you want to purchase. I'll need your address. And we were messing around with PayPal and Square, and it was, excuse my language, it was a shit show. So I already had Venmo and Zelle set up. So that's how the payment, that's how you can send payment, through Zelle or Venmo. I will post all that information here throughout this show. So please, everybody, if you're interested, I highly encourage you to check out the books. And I hope that you guys love them as much as I do, because I do believe Field's story and what he brings to the table is going to be a part of our coming history very soon. So with that, I'd like to welcome Field back to the show. How are you, my friend?
Well, I'm quite good, and I'm very complimented that you are interested in me and my books, because I spent a lot of time and I've had a lot of experience. Not every experience I've had has been favorable or good or productive, but they collectively have built who I am and who I want to continue to be. And so that the reason why I wanted you to be the sole source of my books is to share the credit with you, because you share your platform with me. And I don't know how many people are in this live stream chat right now, but it's the biggest number I've ever seen. Have you taken a look to see how many people are here, Jenny?
Well, yes, people are still coming in, but no, you've had we have 71 people in here right now, and you've had a much bigger audience before. I think because you've taken a couple weeks off to heal from your injury. People may not realize that you're back on with us today, but I did put out the post last night that you were going to be here. So people will still keep coming in here as we keep going on with the show. Trust me, you're a very well loved individual, Fields.
Well, thank you very much. That means it really means the world to me, because for someone to love me or even love what I do, they've got to really try to figure out if I'm full of baloney or if I'm full of the truth. And I I don't want to turn this into a church meeting, but the source of a lot of my information is God Himself. He inspires me to look here, look there, look out. Uh, and God recruited me to expose evil. He did it with Psalm 94:16 and with Ephesians 5:11. And it gives me goosebumps to think that God would trust me to articulate these evil stories and to expose the evil parties, even when one of them's my own sister. So I'm blessed by God, but I'm also blessed by JENNI, and that's why, JENNI, I want you to be the only source for my books. And if you get to where you can't handle it, you know, because you get so many orders, well, we can chat on the telephone and see how to handle that. But if I was distributing my books, I would. Well, the lady who sent all those books to you was Heidi, who's my neighbor, and she's the geriatric CNA. That she was the first one to tell me I'd be dead if I hadn't stopped the bleeding. And she's not full of baloney. She's a straight shooter. And just this morning, about 4 hours, no, 3 hours ago, I bumped into her at a store about 2 miles from my home. We were parked side by side, and she opened the passenger door to my car, and she says, I'm here to look at your head," meaning my head wound. And I could feel the top of my head. She was separating what little hair I have left, and she was looking at the wound, and she was very pleased. She said, "It's healing very nicely." And I said, "Thank you, Heidi. You mean the world to me." And she does. And the same goes for you, JENNI. And there's other people. One of them is in the chat room right now, and her name is Romaine, because Romaine put the Children's Crusade logo and also the picture of Denise and I, along with some kind words. And some people would be afraid to go after the worst humans in the world. Notice I didn't say Adam Schiff. I didn't say John Bolton. I didn't say John McCain for the third time. Um, and by the way, I would never think of calling him a horseshit pilot if he wasn't a horseshit pilot. Over to you, JENNI.
Field, I love your sense of humor. You are always a spitball. You're right on it, and you just sound great. I'm just so glad that you're doing better. And trust me, when you're not around, when you don't come on the show, everybody's like, "Where's Field? Is he okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I get a lot of those." And everybody, I can't respond to all of them because I am kind of a busy individual. But yes, you are very well missed, and when you're not here, so I'm glad that you're here. And everybody, I think, Field's going to talk about a couple things, but we're going to open it up to you guys for questions for Field. Any kind of question that you guys want to ask Field, please feel free. We're going to give you guys the mics today to ask Field whatever you would like to ask him. So I highly encourage you to do it. He is here for you guys. And yeah, don't be shy or nervous or whatever. I know it sometimes can be a little intimidating. I never thought a microphone would be intimidating when starting my podcast, but it was. But now it's like the back of my hand, right? So, Field, why don't you? Is there anything that you want to touch on in regards to what's going on in the world right now? And then we can kind of go into maybe what next book you're going to be writing, and how and what inspired you to write this next book that you're going to be writing.
Well, let's start with that. The next book, and I've already started, it's just I haven't made much progress because the book is going to be biographical in the case of my recently deceased, not that recently, 5 years ago, and I miss her terribly. Her name was Denise. And so I'm writing that book, and I'm going to write it like people are going to read it. And, they will be blessed by hearing what I think of Denise and what I thought of her and how I met her. And I'll start with that right now. God inspired me not to give up on marriage, and God put the thought in my head that he would introduce me to a very suitable marriage candidate. And so, and the way he did that, I believe, is one day in January of 2015, I think that's right. Um, I I was on Abel Danger, and I was saying, I see there's 3 people from England in the chat room right now. And if any of you 3, there were 2 males and a female, if any of you 3 can tell me how to get from Heathrow Airport to Telford, I'm going to be speaking at a conference. And I said, I know how to find the Minneapolis airport. And if the pilots on the flight to Heathrow die or get sick, I know how to fly an airplane. And I've flown to London numerous times, maybe many times. But I don't know how to get from the Heathrow airport to Telford, Telford. And 2 of these people out of the 3 were males, and I'd met both of them before. And the third person was Denise, a female, and I hadn't met her. And because I have a background as a creative writer, I thought it would be much more interesting, dare I say, stimulating, if she picked me up at Heathrow and took me to the conference. She'd already volunteered to do that in writing in the chat room. And so I got a hold of her after the show and I said, are you really willing to pick me up at Heathrow and take me to Telford? And she said, yes. And, I really appreciated that, because some of the books I've written have been a little bit promiscuous, and that's fiction, by the way. Um, that's that's one of the things about the books I write. And people, once they've read maybe 4 to 5 chapters of any of my books, they start wondering, is he always telling the truth, or does he use a little literary license now and then? And the answer is, it's a mixture. It's 90 to 95% the truth. And then I throw in some stuff to confuse the bad guys, which is, it's not very difficult to confuse the bad guys, because they don't know their ass from third base, or they wouldn't be bad guys. They'd be on our team, and our team's going to win. And who does our team start with? First and foremost, God. Secondly, Donald Trump and the military white hats. And then, maybe people like JENNI and I are in the 3rd tier. But I want to give JENNI a public congratulations for being the person that has the nerve to have people like myself on your podcast. And I'll try to behave today. But, I've already said twice that John, what's his name? Oh, that's right. John No Name. That's that's his name. Yeah, he was a horseshit pilot. So I'll leave that alone. That's 3 strikes. I'm out. So, uh, are you going to turn it over, or have you already turned it over to the chat room for questions? Because I'm ready when they are.
No, I haven't done that yet. Did you talk about so this story, your next book, did you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, the title is War Bride POW. War Bride alludes to my late wife, Denise, because I asked her that she asked me to stop into London on my way to Heidelberg, Germany. And so I did. And, she had never indicated an interest in me on a personal level, but that changed. She said, why don't you stop in to London on your way to Heidelberg, and you can stay at my house? And that was something I couldn't ignore. And so I did. She picked me up at Heathrow, took me to her house. And there were 2 things I said to her in the hallway as soon as we were in her house on the 2nd floor of a council home in England. and anybody from England would know what a council home is, then I don't need to explain it here. It's a nice term. It's post-World War II public housing. So when we were walking down the hallway in her house, going from the entry door to the kitchen, I said, I have a question for you, Denise. And she said, go ahead. I said, you're 49 years old, you're attractive, you're intelligent, you're informed, and you tell me you've never been married? And she said, yes, I've never been married because I never met a man worth marrying. And then not long after that conversation, we were engaged. And so I'm very happy and blessed to be able to say that I'm the only husband that Denise ever had. And some people thought I was crazy to be married a fourth time. And I said, I think you got it backwards. I think I was crazy to be married the first three times, because each of those people had some interest in me that wasn't going to last forever. And but to be really honest and to be really precise, I actually asked Denise, I mean, why is it you wanted me to stop here? And what can I do for you? And she said, I wanted you to stop here, so thanks for coming, because I wanted to talk to you about MH370, because every time I Googled, meaning Denise, every time Denise Googled MH370, my name came up. And yet there's some bozo out there named, what's his name? His last name starts with an F. But anyway, he claims to be the expert on MH370, and I've published in writing. I said, well, if you're the expert on MH370, when did you first get involved in MH370? And he was about maybe 7 years after me. MH370 never crashed, and yet he said he was the first guy to discover where it crashed. And I said, you're the biggest bullshitter I've ever met, and I've met a lot of them, but you're not the first guy to talk about MH370 as if you know something. I said, on the morning that it allegedly crashed, I was writing with authority and accuracy on the fact it hadn't crashed. It landed at Diego Garcia, and it parked in a hangar at 6:11 a.m. Diego Garcia time, and there were 239 dead people on that aircraft. But what brought Denise and I together effectively was MH370. She was a wireman, and that's an English term for an electrician, and she was very skilled at her job, but she was very interested in MH370, and every time she used a search engine and put in MH370, my name came up. So she wanted to meet me. And as we went down the hallway, she said, can I ask you a favor? I said, yes, you can ask me a favor, and I'll let you know if I can answer it after you ask me. But I'm too old to be saying, yes, I can do you a favor if I don't know what the favor it is. Verbatim quote. She said, can you lead me to Jesus Christ? And I said, I can do that right now. Come in here, turn your laptop on. I'm going to give you two biblical scripture numbers. And if you look them up and read them aloud to me, you will have contacted Jesus, and he will guide your remaining life if you live 70 years or if you live 90 years or if you live 20 minutes. Once you get introduced to him, he's going to take very good care of you. And so I had her read Romans 3:23 and Romans 6:23. She read them out loud, and I said, well, I can tell you that you now have a relationship with Jesus Christ, and you can rest in his love. And that's the first time I know that I led someone to Jesus. And how do I know it? Well, because I told her that. And then when I got put in jail, even though I wasn't guilty of anything, and I was prevented coming back because I was under a false arrest, which turns out to be an arrest to keep me safe. And that's called, it's not a punitive arrest. It's a,
Protective
uh,
custody?
yeah, protective custody. And just say yes or no and don't mention the name. But Jenny, have I ever told you of who arranged that protective custody for me?
Yes, you have.
Okay, good. I'm not going to say it out loud, but it's a household name who obviously had one of his people contact the Pierce County Sheriff and say, this is so and so. And I would really appreciate the Pierce County Sheriff's Office putting Field Mcconnell in protective custody. And they did. I went to my radio show office one day for a 1 p.m. radio show, and outside the front door were 5 police cars and 7 police officers. And, I'm sort of a professional wise ass, but I've learned as I age, I don't have to be a wise ass every single time I make contact with a human. And so there were 7 police officers with badges, sunglasses, uniforms, guns. And I said, good afternoon, gentlemen. It was just about 1 p.m. I said, good afternoon. I'm Field Mcconnell. Are you guys here to look for me? And one of them, who was sort of gruff, said, yes, we are. I said, well, how can I help you? Verbatim. He said, turn around and put your hands behind your back. And then he slapped the cuffs on me. He opened the right-hand door to his police car, and I had the opportunity to pass or arrange to have somebody take the keys to my pickup truck, and they were going to put it back at my house because I didn't know how long I'd be in custody. Well, it turned out to be 16 months. I lost 91 pounds while I was detained under false arrest, but it was not entirely false. It was to save my life. So I've had a very interesting life, and I'm motivated to do 3 things now that I think of it. I'm motivated to eliminate global child trafficking, 1 criminal at a time, to stop treason against the United States of America, 1 criminal at a time. And the thing I just thought of was it's my opportunity, and I'm the only husband that Denise ever had, and that's why I'm putting her first in my book. She's the war bride, and I'm POW, prisoner of Wisconsin. And I think I'm correct in saying that Ron DeSantis might not be alive anymore. It might be an actor. And Tony Evers, the governor of Wisconsin, announced about 2 weeks ago on a Wednesday that he's not running for re-election. And I think I might have been a part of that because I don't threaten people. I just tell them the truth. You're not governor material, and you also violated the law, due process, of my constitutional rights. Now, the day I was arrested, the 4th of November of 2019, we were not under the Constitution, but we are now. And I've got a legal expert coming to my house next. I have a house guest right now from England, and I've got a legal expert coming soon. And she's going to bring me a whole lot of paperwork because she went to the Pierce County courthouse and found the clerk of court and said, I would like a copy of every single piece of paper in this courthouse that has the name Field Mcconnell on it. Well, this woman, who her name will be nameless, but she has all those documents or copies of the documents, and she's going to bring them up to my house probably within the next 2 weeks. So, God's taken very good care of me. I'm going to repeat that. God has taken very good care of me. And one of my most common prayers has been over the last 10 years. God, thank you very much for protecting me even from myself. And people can think about that for a while. And I'll fill in the blanks later. But anyway, did I answer your question at all, Jenny?
You did great, Field. Thank you so much. I know people love to hear that story about you and Denise, because I know she was very well respected in the Abel Danger world too, because a lot of people remember speaking with her. So, because I think she kind of took over the reins when you were falsely incarcerated. So thank you for sharing that. All right, everybody, we're going to open it up for you guys. It's open mic, everybody. It's for you. So if you guys have questions for Field, or you just want to say hi, whatever, please raise your hand. I will unmute your mic. Tammy M, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead and ask Field your question. Go ahead, Tammy. Tammy M from Kentucky, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead. Push the blue button in the middle of your screen. All right, got to move on. All right, Oxy Texan, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead. Can anybody hear me? Field, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Can
you
you
loud
hear
and
me?
clear.
Okay, yes. Yeah, go ahead, Oxy Texan. Go ahead.
It's Okie Texan, but I'll take Oxy Texan too.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was calling to ask Bill, with everything going on the way it is in Washington, D.C., and Trump, cleaning up the cities, will there be a need for the EBS? Or, I mean, it seems like we're moving along pretty quickly with this. So do you feel like there still will be a need for the EBS?
I can't say there's a need, yes or no, but there will be a benefit for the emergency broadcasting system, because a lot of these people who don't have any clue as to what's gone on in America since 1871, there's gonna be videotape of some of these really bad people. Notice I didn't say George H.W. Bush. I didn't say the horseshit pilot, John McCain. I didn't say my own sister, Christine Marcy, or Hillary Clinton. But yeah, I think there'll be a great benefit when Donald Trump allows the truth to be televised, because our country is so addicted to TV, and I'm not. I've been home from jail for 5 years. I haven't had my TV on once. I don't have time for entertainment. I don't have time for pro sports. I don't have time for comedy shows. I just have time to kick ass and take names. And when I do that, by the way, the military white hats loyal to Trump, I think they probably listen to Jenny's shows when I'm on, or maybe they listen to them after they're put on Rumble. But 107, I think most of your listeners know who he was. He once called me a bird dog. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? Because there's an airplane called a bird dog, and there's a hunting dog referred to as bird dog. He says, no, not the airplane, bird dog. You're like a bird dog. You strike a pose, you straighten your tail, and you point at where there's a live bird, perhaps a pheasant, and then you charge the bird, and he flies up out of self-preservation, and he finds out that a shotgun shell can send pellets faster than it can fly. And I got that right out of 107's mouth. And for those of you who don't know 107, maybe you should just sample his work. He's been in the room I'm sitting in right now is my home office. And there's a lady from England sitting here with me listening to this and correcting me when I make mistakes. But 107 has been in my home go ahead. What about it? Oh, he sat here. I sat there. He sat in this chair. Yeah. But anyway, 107's been in my home 3 times, and he and his wife, Jennifer Mack, are welcome to come back anytime, and they don't even have to give me much warning. And sometimes it's better for people like him not to warn me, because those messages may be intercepted. But I'll say it again publicly right now, 107 and Jenny Mack are welcome anytime in my house with little or no notice. And I'd say of those two choices, little notice would be more appropriate. If they called me when they're 30 miles out, that would not give the bad guys time to rain on their parade or to storm my house. And neither Juan nor myself are afraid of bad guys. They're afraid of us, and that's just the way it should be. Did I begin to answer your question, Austin, Texas?
Yes, you did. I appreciate it very much, and I appreciate all y'all do for us. I've been awake about 6 years, and I'm just counting down the days. God bless you all.
You won't have to count too many more. Things are happening fast, and to a large degree, it's because of the rapid escalation in numbers of the white hats and people like JENNI and I, who are just, common citizens, but we do some uncommon work. And my wife, Denise, joined me in that uncommon work. And then she went to heaven. And as I said about 20 minutes ago, the first thing she asked me is if I'd do her a favor. And I'm talking about the day I got to her house for the first time. And I said, well, I'm not going to answer that until you tell me what the favor is. And she said, can you introduce me to Jesus Christ? And I did. And the way I know what worked is because when I got released from jail, and it was about 16 days after she died, I was so weak from losing 91 pounds that I couldn't even go up my own stairway. I had to turn around backwards, and I'd use my arms to lift my torso off the stair, and then I'd use my legs to push myself 2 stairs up. And my stairway, by the way, in fact, I have 2 stairways, and this will stimulate some thought. Each of my stairways have 17 steps. Now, that's something I couldn't arrange. I didn't cause this house to be built. But there's another thing about my house. If you can get a screenshot from Google Maps, I have a circular driveway in my house that looks exactly like a Q. And so, I think God's playing tricks on bad guys. And because it's not me doing this. I didn't build the house, but I've got 2 17-step stairways. And I didn't design the driveway and the connecting sidewalk, but from a drone or any other flying vehicle, my driveway looks like a Q. And I've got 2 vehicles that have had Q- license plates. And I'll just be more specific because, talk is cheap and a lot of guys are full of shit. Right, JENNI? A lot of people are full of shit.
Yep. We're seeing that.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got these 2 license plates that say Q-. One of them was from a 1988 North Dakota source, and the other one's from a 2013 Wisconsin source. And that stimulates thought because all these Q posts and all this effort to save America and protect children, the Q movement is a big part of it. And so somebody might wonder, I wonder what Field did for them. Well, you'll just have to wait until I write a book. And I'm going to be writing books quickly now because when my current house guest returns to her home, I've got that other house guest that wants to come here. And I'll tell you in a minute who that is, Angel, unless I already told you. Oh, I did. I thought so. Yeah. So anyway, this was Austin, Texas I was talking to, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Okie Texan.
Yeah. Do you know where Beeville, Texas is?
Yes, sir, I do. I've
Okay,
been
I
all
was
over
there
Texas.
flying. Oh, okay, I interrupted you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Born and raised a Texan, have land in Oklahoma that's been in our family 150 years, so I'm an Okie Texan.
Okay. that makes sense. I get what you're coming from. Well, I'm a native Texan too. I was born on October 2nd, 1949 at the Harris Hospital in Fort Worth. And but I've been living all over the world, literally, but mostly all over the United States for a long time. But I'm very happily settled in Plum City, Wisconsin, population 600. And here's how afraid of the bad guys I'm not. You know, if the bad guys want to find me, and they can find me real easy, just go to Molly's restaurant, ask any waitress, waiter, bartender, or anybody that looks like they work there, say, do you know Field Mcconnell? And they'd say, yes. Did you know where he lives? And they say, yes, he lives 2.2 miles north of here on County Road S. And there's no mailbox, but it's the only blacktop driveway on the right-hand side of the road as you get to the top of the hill. And so then people could come to the top of the hill, and if I knew they were coming, I'd be ready for them, not knowing what their nature or purpose was. But you know, God's kept me safe, even though I've been spitting in the eye of the evil people since I first exposed what happened on 9/11. And I exposed that on the morning of 9/11, just before noon. So anyway, nice talking to you, Okie Texan. And I'll turn it back over to Jenny. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Okie Texan. All right, Jambalaya Jim, go ahead. Your mic is unmuted.
Field, one question. Has the feral porcine been dealt with?
Go ahead. Good.
Can you hear me?
I don't think you heard you,
Okay.
Jambalaya Jim. Go ahead and repeat your question.
Field, one question. Has the feral porcine been dealt with?
Do you understand that, Jenny?
The feral port side. Am I saying that right, Jambalaya Jim? He's asking if it's been
feral.
dealt with.
The feral porcine.
Say it in English instead of code.
Feral porcine. He wants to know if it's been dealt with.
Yeah, feral means wild and porcine is pig. Am I correct, Jenny?
Yep.
What's that? Yeah. I
Can
still
you-
don't know who he's talking
Jambalaya
about.
Jim, can you
Go-
are you speaking in code, or can you just ask the question outright?
Yeah,
In English.
The lawyer from Florida that extradited you.
So he wants to know about the lawyer from Florida, if they've been dealt with that extradited you.
Well, the entire Department of Justice has been dealt with. And I forgave that feral porcine because she and her husband called me one night. We had quite a conversation, and she was very remorseful, not about what she did to me, but how she thought that affected my wife. But she got the ball started, and what she did that was inappropriate was she violated due process in my case, and she sent an arrest warrant that was signed by a judge, but it went through the U.S. mail in an envelope with a stamp that were both hers. And notice I haven't mentioned her name, nor will I. There's plenty of people in the chat room who know her name, but I forgave her. And I said, I will never cause any trouble for you because you told me that you feel terrible about what you think you did to my wife. And, you know, as long as she had the nerve to say she felt terrible for how she might have shortened my wife Denise's life, you know, why would I want to be unkind to her? Unkindness doesn't earn unkindness, but kindness earns more kindness. And a lot of people don't know what I just said, but then a lot of people don't know much. But I try to be kind to everyone until they give me reason enough to think that they're being unkind to me. And then I go from being a Christian to being a Marine.
Did that answer your question, Jambalaya Jim?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody, if you have a question for Field, please feel free to raise your hand. It is open mic. This is your time to ask Field any question you may want. So Miss Cal, go ahead. Your mic is unmuted.
Hello. First of all, Jenny, I'm gonna be ordering Field's books, and my daughter is gonna order them for me. But I think she's gonna. Can she just send you a private message so she can give you her address and all the pertinent information there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, she'll do that today or tomorrow. So I'm very looking forward to the books. My
Okay. You'll love them.
Yes, I'm sure I will. Field, I don't know if you can answer this question. I'm sure you probably have the answer. I don't know if you're allowed to answer it, but do you think Donald Trump will be making his EAS message this year in 2025? Because I heard somebody on another podcast, and I know what Jenny says, and she always says, stick with the 2 or 3 people you believe are telling you the truth. But I heard somebody say last week that they don't think this financial situation is going to come through for 12 or 14 months. And so that tells me that med beds probably aren't coming through either. And I'm just, hoping that that isn't going to be the case. So many people are waiting. Thank you.
Well, I'm one of those people, and my lady from England that's in my house as a guest of mine, she wants a ride in a med bed, but I'm going to quote Jenny: "Be careful who you listen to." And first of all, did you say EAS or EBS?
Well, I don't know what it is, if it's an EAS or an EBS, but I was just wondering if we're going to get that this year in 2025.
I think so, but I've just expressed an opinion, and my opinions are no better than anyone else's. But whoever told you it was, whoever you're quoting, I think that's a bona fide liar right there. They're expressing opinions and they don't have any command of the facts. And there's a lot of people like that. And they're called wannabes or Johnny come latelys to the movement. And anyway, I think you should be very optimistic. Things are starting to quicken in Donald Trump's activism. And what better person to be an activist than the President of the United States of America? And I communicate indirectly through the White Hats to Trump. Now, I did send 350 footnoted, well-written letters from me, Field Mcconnell, USMC 0116513. And there's a reason why I say that over and over, because the White Hats can read something into that people that are not in the military or from a military background don't have any idea what I'm saying. But I also wrote 350 letters directly to Donald Trump during his first administration. But in every case, the letter went on its way from Plum City to the White House. It went through a cutout or a middleman in Virginia. And because it would not do Donald Trump a lot of, it would not be a favor to him for me to send him something directly, because by saying it the way I just said it, that I sent it through a middleman in Virginia, then he's got plausible deniability, and he could say something like, "I've never heard from Field Mcconnell, and I don't even know the name," to which, that would be good. He'd protect himself for me, but I'm trying to protect him at the same time. And I think I was the first guy that told him on July 1st of 2018 or 2019, and I think it was 2019, but I told him reluctantly, I said, your vice president, Mike Pence, is going up to New Hampshire in the next 2 days, and he's going up with Paul Ryan, the former Speaker of the House, to see John Sununu. Notice how I'm being precise. I wrote a letter to Trump and I said, your vice president is going up to New Hampshire with Paul Ryan, and they're going to meet with John Sununu. I'm going to spell his last name so you can Google it. Sunu, Sununu. Yeah, Sununu. I think that's correct. If anybody knows it's not correct, please put up a comment about how to spell John Sununu's name. So I sent that to Trump through a cutout, of course, a middleman. And on July 2nd, Vice President traitor and child murderer Mike Pence went out and hopped in Air Force Two, which is a 757 derivative. And he had Paul Ryan with him, and they were going to fly to New Hampshire to meet with John Sununu and put the finishing touches on the assassination plan. And guess what? I don't know if it's because of me or from somebody else, but that airplane was not allowed to taxi, or it was not allowed to fly, and its flight plan was canceled. And they were told by the tower at Andrews, it's called Joint Forces Base now. When I used to go to Andrews often, it was called Andrews Air Force Base. So that probably made Mike Pence a little nervous because he thinks he's the vice president. So who has the power to get his flight canceled? Well, he wasn't very smart, was he? But anyway, on the 3rd of July, we were waiting for any news, pro or con, and nothing developed on the 3rd. But on the 4th of July, Donald Trump and his wife Melania both appeared on the Capitol steps, and the assassination didn't take place. And then the cowardly Pence, I mean, what type of a person other than a powerful, a cowardly pedophile would involve himself in the murder of 82 children and then think he's going to get a free ride on Air Force Two? And but what he did was really stupid and self-incriminating. When he left the Capitol steps as vice president, he went to Andrews Air Force Base and he got into a Gulfstream jet. And because he was still the vice president, the call sign for that flight, he was going to escape from Washington and go back to Indiana. And the call sign was Air Force Two, as well it should be, because he was the sitting vice president at that point. Halfway to Indianapolis, the air traffic controllers said, Air Force Two, we're instructing you to make a right or left-hand 180-degree turn and return directly to Andrews Joint Forces Base, and your call sign has been changed from Air Force Two to SAM 239. SAM is very useful. It stands for Special Air Missions. That was the military organization that was operating the airplane. But they said, your new call sign is SAM 239. Well, if you look in the book of Samuel in the Bible, and you might have to look at both 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel, but 239 alludes to a specific biblical quote where the king was being threatened by one of his employees. And so the subliminal message was to Mike Pence, you're no longer the vice president, and we know what you're up to because somebody told us. And so anyway, he got assassinated or executed, excuse me, in March of this year. And I'm talking about Mike Pence, who was just like John McCain, a weasel. And I think I'm well qualified to call him a weasel or to call John McCain a horseshit pilot, because I'm just calling ace an ace and a spade, and a traitor, and a pedophile, a pedophile. I'm just being honest. And if they don't like it, fuck them. Thank you for the question.
Well, thank you for all your knowledge. But if anybody's been here long enough listening to you, they know you're a true warrior. So thanks again. I'm so looking forward to the books.
Okay, well, that's great. And I was in the Marine Corps one time, and the Marine Corps' official motto is Semper Fidelis, which means always faithful. But I make it a little simpler. I say Marines are taught to dominate or die. And that it's as simple as that. I'm going to kick these guys right in the ass, throw them into the dungeon, and then they're going to get what they have coming. And I don't have any official power. I don't have any authority to do what I'm doing, except for one authority. God himself inspired me twice, once in Psalm 94:16 and once in Ephesians 11, to expose evil. And I'm doing it. And the bad guys are afraid of me. I'm not afraid of them. I'm 75 years old. If they were to get lucky and kill me, that means I'd get to see my wife again sooner rather than later. But, and my wife, it's named Denise. And the next book I'm going to publish is War Bride POW. And that's going to be biographical about Denise and autobiographical about me. And it'll be honest. And there may be some appropriate humor, but there won't be any inappropriate humor, because at some point the truth has to be well understood. And this book that I'm writing, War Bride POW, is going to make it much easier to see. And the only source of getting that book will be through JENNI JERREAD's distribution network. So thank you again, JENNI, for what you do. And thank you for that excellent question. It was my pleasure to answer it.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you, Cal. And also, too, Field, do you have an ETA when you think your book might be done and put out there for everybody to see? Do you have an ETA or no, not yet?
Well, it takes me about 2 weeks. I might take 3 weeks to write this one because it's so important. And it's also because even if I say things like stick it up your ass, I'm a gentleman, and I would never say that to a lady unless it was my sister or Hillary. And I've said that effectively to both of them. But I would say that that book will be published sometime before Thanksgiving. And, it'll be certainly published in time for Christmas giving. And once again, the title is War Bride POW. It's about my wife, Denise, and myself, and it'll all be honest. And there may be some humor in it, but there won't be any unkind or irresponsible humor. But, when you're involved, and I've been involved for 24 years, I started this pilgrimage on the morning of 9/11. And it's been discouraging to me that with all this stuff, which is firsthand knowledge to me, it hadn't been widely disseminated by the deep state government. But see, we're not the deep state government anymore. Now we're in Trump's and white hat influence. And I don't think I have to fear anything. And so I would say, Jenny, to answer your question, as a courtesy to you, I'll throw you a drumstick. I think the book will be in your hands by Thanksgiving. I'll try to do that, but I'm going to be intentionally slow because I don't want to make any false statements and I don't want to make any mistakes. Because when you're going after the most evil people in the world, you want to get it right the first time. Over to you, Jenny.
Amen. I agree with you. And thank you for that, Field. I think that's a great goal. So thank you for that. And yes, take your time, make it the best that you do. Like, these other books that you have put out, they're amazing. So yes, I'm excited for that one. All right, Petunia, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead and ask Field your question.
Thank you. Hi, Field. I'm in Washington State, and I wondered, Can you disclose what happened to Paul Ryan? I used to work for his brother, so I'm curious.
I don't know. I don't know what Paul Ryan was thinking when he went from being Speaker to the House, Speaker of the House, excuse me, and then he wanted to kill President Trump, and he was going to use Mike Pence, the vice president, John Sununu, who was George H.W. Bush's White House chief of staff at one point, I think. You know, these people are so arrogant that they think they can get away with that. Don't they know there's people out there, and the military white hats are a bunch of them. The sitting president is one of them. And bad guys, no matter how hard they work, are never going to defeat the good guys. That's not the way it works in America. And I say this all the time. If somebody wants to come up and try to deal with me, go to Molly's Restaurant in Plum City, 701 Main Street, and just ask any employee, do you know Field, the guy that has Studebakers in a hearse? And they say, yeah, well, he's in here every day. And they might say, well, when would be a good time to expect to see him come in here today? And they'd say, oh, probably 4 o'clock, maybe as late as 5 o'clock, but he's usually in here 4 o'clock having a little refreshment before dinner, which is a true statement. But if they were really antsy and they wanted to rain on my parade earlier, then they'd say, well, we're sort of on a tight schedule. And do you know where we could find Field right now? Is he likely at home? Yes, he is. Do you know where his home is? Yes, it's 2.2 miles north of here. And you just take County Road S north to the top of the hill, look for the only blacktop driveway up there, turn onto the blacktop driveway, drive a half a mile, and you'll be in range of his 357 as you come through the trees. And that would probably cool their enthusiasm. Maybe not. There's dumb bad guys out there too, just like there's dumb good guys. But, I'm not hiding from anybody, and I'm making myself quite visible. And that's because God asked me to take on evil. He did it in Psalm 94:16 and Ephesians 5:11. And I don't know about the rest of you believers, but when God asked me to take on evil, I started right away. And I'm going to continue. And we are going to defeat evil. Well, we're not. God is. And Donald Trump's doing a mighty work in that regard too. So there's no reason. I say this often to people, and they think I might be deranged. There's no reason to be fearful if you know for a fact that you're working for God. And God loves people, and He created people, and He's protecting the good people, and He's hoping to realign any people that aren't good, like my sister, George H.W. Bush, John McCain, Hillary Clinton, and about, many of the Congress, and which includes the Senate. But there were a lot of politicians in the previous administrations that were making a whole lot of money in child trafficking. And I'll be more than happy to list the ones I know, which would be throwing a gauntlet down to them. And they'd say, well, you're exposing me to jail time and execution. I said, you're the one that trafficked children, not me. I'm the one that's exposing you because God asked me to. That's the end of my statement. How did I do, ma'am?
You did great, Field. You did great. Thank you, Petunia. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you for everything, Field, that you do.
Well, you're welcome. But I'll put the ball in your court. If you knew for sure that God asked you to do something, would you hesitate to do it?
No, I would not at all.
And I have not at all. And there's plenty more like me. There's more good guys than bad guys. When I say guys, that includes gals. In fact, that gives me an opportunity to say something about ladies. I really respect ladies. I respect them a lot more than women or females. They're all three somewhat related, but ladies are the top of the food chain. And so I respect ladies, and I bet I'm talking to one right now.
Thank you, Field. All right. Jim Higgins, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jim. Push the blue mic in the middle of your screen. Jim Higgins, go ahead. Okay, he left. Karen H, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead. Karen H, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead. Okay. All right, guys. If you guys have a question for Field, please feel free to raise your hand, and I will unmute your mic. And if you do request a mic, please respond, because Field gives us 90 minutes of his time. So we've got about 30 minutes left. So anybody that wants to raise their hand, I will unmute your mic. But Field, in the meantime, would you like to, while we wait for some people to come up, and it's open mic, everybody. So we're gonna let you guys do the questions, asking the questions today. But let's talk a little bit about the Bolton situation that we have been seeing transpire the last few days. And mind you, everybody, I'm still playing catch up with everything that's been going on for the last week. So as you know, I took a break, but not for reasons of wanting, but due to death in the family. So my aunt. So, do you want to talk about the Bolton situation? There's another hand that just popped up. You want to do that one first? The hand.
Hey, take the hand. Take my hand a while, explain it to me one more time. Yeah, take
I
the
love
hand
it.
and we'll handle it.
Awesome. Okay, go ahead, Aaron. SV Neverland. Your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
Hey guys, this is a dual account. Erin is my wife. I'm El Capitan. I think you got a request for me to join.
Oh yeah.
But we were able to catch your live today. Field, you were amazing, sir. Just a general, comment. And Jenny, thank you for having him. He's been such a treasure.
Of
We've been listening
course.
to him since the Abel Danger days. And Juan has definitely been our lane. We got to meet him back in 22 at some election integrity conferences that he sponsored with Mark Fincham and Mark Cook, and just an amazing trip we've been on. But I noticed that Liz Crokin is posting that the Anthony Weiner laptop might be coming back full circle, which is, of course, that insurance with the frazzle drip video. And I wanted to hear his thoughts on that, and the ramifications of it.
Go ahead, Field. That's for you.
Oh, okay, good. Anthony Weiner, first of all, he's very appropriately named because he didn't think with his head, he thought with his wiener. And he thought I'm just being serious. I mean, I didn't name him Weiner, and I would, his parents named him Weiner, and so they set him up to have his wiener get him in trouble. And that's very common. I mean, men are just older boys, that's all. And they go through a stage where they think they can do anything and never get caught. Well, Anthony Weiner, you got caught. And what's that Abedin, that girl that...
Huma Aberdeen.
Yeah, it was his wife. And of course, he was Hillary Clinton's, a head assistant or whatever, back when she was Secretary of State, and A1.
Yeah. Yeah, well, these people thought they were above all the rest of us common people, and that might be their opinion, but it's not a fact. It's the common people that are holding these guys accountable and getting them executed. And Huma Abedin and what's her name? Oh, I think it's Hillary. Yeah, they participated in killing a female child on a video camera. I mean, Hillary's not blonde. Huma's not blonde, but they sure think like blondes, or maybe they don't think. Maybe they think they're more powerful, and that God's going to turn His eyes away from them. That's not the way God works. God has people out there watching for abhorrent behavior and then sending the abhorrent behavior practitioners names to the white hats, and then they can try to figure out if the people like me know what we're talking about. And if they determine, yeah, well, he probably does. In fact, the FBI refers to me as the original 9/11 whistleblower, and that makes me very proud. And I try not to demonstrate pride or ego because they're both pathways to destruction. But if I'm remembered someday as the original 9/11 whistleblower, I would be happy with that because I blew the whistle at noon on what happened about 3 hours earlier. And let me explain that. How did I know what technology was used to control not only the airliners, but their 4 drone replacements? I can explain that very quickly off the top of my head. In December of 1988, my sister, Christine Marcy, called me at home and said, "Field, are you busy?" And I said, "Yes, I am." Me and my favorite friend, what is Jack Daniels, he and I are just having a great conversation in the kitchen. And she said, "Well, I'd like to ask you a question." And I said, "Go ahead." And at this time, my sister, Christine Marcy, was the head of the U.S. Marshals Service, which includes what was properly called JPATS, JPATS, or more colloquially, it was called Con Air. And she called me and said, "I have a problem." And I said, "Yeah, and you got a big budget too, so solve your own problem. Leave me alone. I got to get back to talking to Jack." And she said, "No, I'm serious." And I said, "I'm serious too. But anyway, as long as you're wasting my time, what is it?" She said, "We're not going to be allowed to haul federal prisoners on airliners anymore." And I said, "Why is that?" "Because the airlines won't let us shackle them and put handcuffs on them." And I said, "Well, why is that? I see them all the time." And she said, "Yeah, we can't do it after a certain date because the airlines are complaining because by having shackled and handcuffed prisoners, they slow down an evacuation process." And I said, "Okay, well, let's take airliners out of the equation. You want me to solve your problem?" "Yes. Would you please solve my problem?" "Yeah." I said, "You got a big budget as the U.S. Marshals Service, but I'll solve your problem. I will give you the name, the phone number, the fax number, and the email address of the man that disposes of older airliners." And at the time I gave this conversation to her, I said, for instance, Northwest Airlines is making DC-9-30s and 727-100s available to people or corporations that have a positive need for operating aircraft. And I said, and I did. I sent her the man's name, his email, his phone number, his fax number. And I said, just give that guy a call tomorrow or send him a message. And he can provide you with DC-9-30s or 727-100s. And it would be my recommendation you go with the DC-9-30s with -15 engines. And I said, the reason I say that is because they have longer legs and they can more safely get that. And that was a judgment on my part. And I have known a lot about airplanes since I was a young kid. But I said, if you can get a -30 with -15 engines, they got big tanks and long range, and they're easy to fly. And all you have to do is get it modified with what's effectively the Boeing uninterruptible autopilot. And then if you have 20 federal prisoners and they're all free, they don't have shackles or chains or handcuffs, they can't get in the cockpit because that can be modified. They modified all the cockpit doors after 9/11. So that proves the point to my satisfaction. And if it has a Boeing uninterruptible autopilot, they can't hijack the airplane because it has to be hijacked electronically. And these guys are not powerful enough or intelligent enough to know how to do it. And a good example of somebody who's not powerful enough and not intelligent enough is Prince William from England, who was sitting off, well, he was on the Maldives, which is in the Indian Ocean, and it's just north of Diego Garcia. And he was the lead or the sole stockholder in Serco Corporation, which is a powerful corporation that works with Sodexo, Sodexo. And I'd like for him someday to explain to me publicly why he and his wife were in the Maldives on the morning where MH370 was supposed to crash in the South Indian Ocean. And he could say whatever he wants. I know what the truth is. He used to be a helicopter pilot in the Royal Navy or Royal Air Force, it doesn't matter which. And the missions that he flew were rescues with a helicopter over water crash scenes or aircraft that have ditched in the water, and he would start getting passengers safely away from the aircraft.
Real
So
quickly,
anyway,
real
and
quickly, Field, real quickly, this is Jenny. I just wanted to make sure, Aaron, if did Field answer your question in regards to the whole Pizzagate situation, real quickly?
Well,
I didn't hear a
Field,
question.
we always love listening to Field, but I think Pizzagate, of course, it's all going to end up coming full circle. It's what unites the world is the children. So
Right.
love you, Field. Love you too, Jenny.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Let me just address something really quickly for him. I was in court probably in 2017, and I was in the jury box. And before the judge, who is a pedophile, by the way, before he was going to release the alternate jurors, he said to us 12 in the jury box, do any of you 12 people in the jury box have a personal relationship with pedophilia? And I tried to look as nervous as possible, which is sort of tough for a Marine. Marines make other people nervous, but I tried to look nervous, and I put my hand up and down several times. And he looked on his cheat sheet that was on one of his knees, because these judges, they don't know who we are. So they have somebody else write a list of who's who. And he saw my name go up. He knew I was in the leftmost seat in the first row. And he said, Mr. Mcconnell, you have a personal relationship with pedophilia? And I said, yes, Judge. I didn't say Your Honor because I don't honor judges or pedophiles. I said, yes, my sister and Hillary Clinton run both Pizzagate and Pedogate, and they've got the biggest child trafficking network in the world. And he put his hands over his ears and he said, too much information, you're excused. And I tried not to smile because I am capable of being a wise ass, and I'd just beaten a pedophile judge. So, but I didn't act like a wise ass. I just act like a guy that was disappointed I got kicked off the jury. And then I went through the court room and I went to the door, the entry exit door. I exited and I started smiling because I had just beaten one of the people that I target. In fact, I had 5 pedophile judges trying to buy my house to turn it into a weekend retreat for underprivileged children. And I didn't say this verbatim, but I basically said, get fucked. How many Marines have you ever kicked off their property? Don't start with me. And I'm still on my property, and I've got an eyewitness because I've got a lady from England in here, and she's probably about ready to vomit from all this stuff I talk about. But the stuff I talk about makes me want to vomit too, but I can't find a politician who will lay down on a flat bed and allow me to vomit in their face. So I just bide my time and it'll all work out. So thank you very much for your question and your confidence in me, sir. And I hope that I've helped you a little bit with that true story about getting myself kicked off the jury because I had no confidence in the Department of Justice. So over to you, Jenny.
Thank you, Field. Thank you, Aaron. All right, I've got two more questions here for you, Field. Michelle Orla, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for taking my question today, Jenny and Field.
Of course.
I hope everyone got to see Codex of Truth 9/11 last night. That made its premiere. If not, check it out. It's on Rumble. But the reason I'm asking is because I've been hearing for the last few years that 9/11 really wasn't explained to us the way it went down. And I've heard you talk about it too, Field. And I appreciate you sharing your knowledge. But my question is, when do you think that this is going to be revealed to the general public, the level of the deceit and the destruction that they committed upon the world that day? When and how do you think they're going to release the truth to the public, Field?
I think they're going to release it as soon as Donald Trump and the White Hats agree that it's time to release it. That's a vague answer, but that's the mechanism which will allow it to be released. And if Donald Trump or the White Hats would listen to my opinion, I'd say, the sooner you release it and get this ball started or this journey, then you can release more and more on a daily or weekly basis, because I think not only the citizens of the USA deserve the truth, but so do the citizens of the other 209 countries around the world, and especially the Muslim nations, because the Muslims were vilified and yet they had nothing to do with 9/11. And the way I knew all this on the morning of 9/11 is because I'm the one that gave my sister the academic knowledge or the intellectual knowledge of the Boeing uninterruptible autopilot. And what many people don't know here, but they're going to know it now, in addition to being an airline pilot, I was flying F-4s and F-16s for North American Air Defense. And our mission was to identify any type of an aircraft that enters U.S. airspace without a legitimate flight plan. And when we were detached, the way that works is NORAD has, when I was in NORAD 1977 to 1993, we'd have several fighters in hangars at every one of the 26 NORAD bases, and we'd have pilots in alert. They could be asleep, but they were obligated to be in their cockpit as soon as possible if the klaxon went off. And a klaxon is the very loud noise that would wake a cadaver that had been cold for 2 weeks, and the cadaver would get up and start running. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but as a young man, I was trained and competent, and I had authority to go up. And if I had to go up by myself because the other airplane had a mechanical problem, I would have the authority to get a good look at what this aircraft was, and then my judgment: are they friendly? Are they hostile? And if I deemed them to be hostile, I had the authority to shoot them down. And I thank God often that I never had to shoot down an aircraft that was innocent. I've never shot down a aircraft that had people on it, but I shot down a PQM 102. I'll repeat that. You can look it up, see what it is. PQM 102. And I also took a shot at a F-100 that had flare pots on both wingtips, and we would be set up in training scenarios to go out and practice intercepting and shooting down flying objects. And it's like riding a bicycle, except for you never have your chain slip. It's really easy to do, but we had to be able to dominate other flying vehicles, no matter what time of the day, what time or what type of weather, because the rules no longer really matter. I mean, pilots in the NORAD, North American Air Defense, we knew all the rules, and people like me even use some of them. But if it comes to my country or somebody that's not smart enough to file a flight plan, my country's going to survive and they may not. And I want to repeat that, thank God, literally, that I never had to shoot down an airplane because I might make a mistake in judgment. Thanks for the question. Did I happen to answer it?
Yes, I guess what I'm hoping for is that this year maybe more will come out as we approach 9/11 for the general public to start thinking about what really happened and understand and move past it. Thank you very much.
Thank
Well,
you,
I really
Michelle.
like your attitude. Yeah, and let me just say this. I think there is at least one white hat from Trump's administration that is either listening to this show or will catch it when it gets up on Rumble. And you might have just given the white hats and therefore Trump a very good idea. I'm making myself available to Donald Trump anytime they want to disclose the truth of 9/11 because I've been rehearsing for 24 years. And I knew what happened on 9/11, what happened on 9/11. And I knew who did it because my own sister took my information and shared it with George H.W. Bush, the horseship pilot named John McCain, and Hillary Clinton. And so I can bring a lot of knowledge and a lot of legitimacy to appear in court under oath now that we have constitutional courts, tell the truth of 9/11, and then say, thank you, President Trump, for the opportunity. Over to you, Jenny.
Thank you, Field. All right, I got one more question here for you from Callie Chick. Go ahead, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead, Callie Chick, your mic is unmuted. All right, Margie Magnus, I'm going to unmute your mic. You go ahead. Go ahead, Margie. Go ahead, Margie. Do you have a question for Fields? All right, everybody, if you guys request mic, please be mindful of the time. I mean, we're here at the end anyway, but respond. I mean, so I know sometimes people accidentally hit the button, but yeah, if you request a mic, please come up and ask your question. So Marjorie, do you not have a question going once, going twice, hit the button in the middle, going 3 times? All right, Fields, we are right here at the 90-minute mark, so we're going to see you next Monday.
Yes. You'll
Well, hold
see
on.
me as long as you can stand me.
Well, we all love you, Field. Hang on, there's one more hand that just popped up. Let me see if this one answers me. All right, Love QD7, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead. Do you have a question for
Hi,
Field?
yes, I do. Hi, Field. You're one of the
Hello.
biggest heroes I know, and I just was wondering, are you still planning on moving to Canton, Texas?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. I don't know where I'm going to move. I'm very happy in Wisconsin now, but I've given my house and my 100 acres to my 31-year-old daughter, and I will start up the Children's Crusade, and the place that you'll hear it first is at Jenny's show, because I have an exclusive relationship with Jenny when it comes to books or podcast. That's because I respect her and I don't want to turn into a food fight. If anybody wanted to talk to me 3 years ago, they should have talked to me 3 years ago. Now I'm not a slave to Jenny. I'm a volunteer, giving her exclusive right to anything I know. And so, um, I, well, first of all, I already forgot your question, but second of all, if you could ask the question again, I'll try to stay focused.
I was just wondering if you was going to move to Canton, Texas.
Oh, yes. And I know why you're asking that, but I'm not sure what I'm doing tomorrow. but I'm sure it's going to be interesting because the last 24 years have been interesting. Do you know that the F4, that's the center display in Canton, Texas, at the Van Zant Veterans Memorial, do you know that's an airplane I flew for 13 years, which is not important. That was a pleasure to fly that airplane. It was one of the two best in our unit, North Dakota Air National Guard, but its tail number in reality, and you can find it, you can find pictures online of the aircraft, an F4, that's on the stand. It's the most visible display, and the tail number is 40965. Now, they built 5,195 of those F4s, and only one of them has the tail number 40965. And I think Jenny's heard this. A lot of the people in the chat room may not have heard it, but that happens to be my late wife's birthday. She was from England, and they do dates a little differently than we do. 40965 means the 4th of September of 1965. That is the very day that Denise was born in Frimley, United Kingdom. And that's an act of God, because I didn't do it. Denise didn't do it. Out of 5,195 F4s, what are the odds that that F4 has my wife's birthday on the tail? It's just uncanny. So, will I end up in Canton? I'd like to, but I'll go where God leads me. And I got some guests in my house. Are you concerned about something? Oh, okay. Yeah. So I could end up in Canton, and it would be a pleasant situation, because then I could be at that museum. I think they're open every day of the week except one day, and it might be Monday. But I would be in their office willing to speak to anybody who had questions about that particular airplane, and why I was fortunate to fly that aircraft for 13 years. And that was a blessing from God, because, see, my whole life has been interesting, but it hadn't been controlled by me. God's been leading me by the hand every day of my life since he knocked on my door on the 1st of February of 1994 and basically said, Field, you can keep screwing up your own life, or you can turn away from your judgment and let me lead you along. And I thought that's a pretty kind offer. So I told him right away, yes, I will follow you, God, now and forever. And I have. And that's why I've been so blessed with good fortune. It's because I'm working for the best entity that anyone could work for. Did I come close to answering your question about Canton? Yes, I'd like to go there because my wife's airplane is there, but I'm going to go where God leads me, and he will lead me. And I think he's going to lead me sooner than later. But that's just my faith in God. That's not a statement of fact.
Thank you, Field. Thank you, Love QD7. And everybody, we'll see Field back here next Monday. And then Derek Johnson's going to be later this evening, 6:30. Real Raw Talk with Derek Johnson, 6:30 Central Standard Time. Tomorrow, we're going to have Rick Anson from Brain IQ. Wednesday, we will have Captain Kyle, 5:30 Central Standard Time. Dallas, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Then over on my X Space, we'll have Silk. She'll be talking about her movie she's in, Pardon Me. And then also Thursday, we're going to have SGN on. He's back. And then Friday, we will have Carrie Kasem with Face and Beauty. So with that, everybody, I'm glad to be back. God bless you all. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you later this evening. And Fields, God bless you. Have a great day. Love you. And we'll talk to you. I'll talk to you here in the days coming. And then, of course, we'll see you back here on the show on Monday.
That sounds good, Jenny. I'll be there. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day. Take care, everybody. God bless.